What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today is going to be we're going to talk about the Alaskan Avenger. I think there's been a lot said about the Alaskan Avenger, but excuse me, I wanted to do a video on it in case there's people who haven't heard the story. I'm trying to go a little, I want to at least 30 seconds to pass before I get into it. There we go. We're way past 30 now. So the Alaskan Avenger, for those of you who aren't aware, his name is Jason Vukovich. Jason Vukovich. He's about 49 years old. Jason was the victim of sexual abuse growing up. I've seen where it says it was his father that was abusing him. I've also seen where it was his stepfather. I don't know which one it was, but the male parental figure in his life was the one who victimized him, brutalized him, and scarred him for life. Well, you know, it's a lot of these people that commit those type of acts. From what I've read and heard, a lot of them were victimized themselves as children, and then they just continue that horrible pattern. Luckily, in this case, that is not what Jason did. Jason he chose to target 3 offenders that he found on the national registry list, whatever you call it. I don't know what the hell they call that thing. But he chose 3 individuals on that list, and he assaulted them, supposedly, allegedly. He beat them down. He decided that he was going to brutalize people that were brutalizing children. When he was arrested for his crime or his crimes, there were a bunch of charges that he got, right? And he wound up with 28 years. He got that in 2018. I never write anything down. This one I wanted to write a few things down. I wonder if this is still making. My microphone apparently was acting up last night, so hopefully it's not doing the same thing. But he was sentenced to 28 years. Now, this is one of those slippery slopes where, as a society, we really can't have vigilantes, because where does it stop? So if we say, okay, for this type of crime, we can't have vigilantism, then we open the door for every crime to be punished by the community. That being said, people who are abused in that way, whether it's women or children, and believe it or not, there's men that have been assaulted in that way. I got to be careful in the words I use. But that's something where it's not the same as having your home burglarized. You know, when something materialistic, when material things are taken from you, they can be replaced. When you are assaulted in that manner, I don't think there's any way your life goes back to normal. And the punishment should fit the pain. Let's put it that way. The punishment for that type of crime should fit the pain caused, the trauma caused. I mean, if you think about it, that's actually worse than killing somebody. When you do that to someone, they live with that every day. You know, I can't imagine it, but I'm going to say this. I remember, so as we know, prison does not take kindly to those people. I remember my first time. So when I was in the California Youth Authority, there was my neighbor was a guy from Sereno. I don't want to say his name. It was a guy from Sereno, right? And we were in Cabrillo, and this isn't even YA. This is the reception center for YA. It is YA, but it's the reception center, the Southern Reception Center, right? And in Cabrillo was the youngest, all the youngest kids, right? Went to Cabrillo. So it was the wildest cottage, compound, whatever you want to call it. All the badass kids, unruly, incorrigible, did not give a damn about anything. And because it was so wild, they had a policy there where they would not put two blacks in a cell together, or two Mexicans in a cell together, or two whites. So in Cabrillo and Portola, it was the selling was interracial. So my first cellie was a blood, and then I moved from Pico to Cabrillo, and then my cellie was a matter of fact the same blood. We moved together over there, and then we wound up getting in a fight, and then my next cellie was another blood, and then a Crip, right? But I'm telling you this to say they were doing that in order to try to stop riots, because you're going to get a racial riot and then you're going to go in the cell. But I mean, everybody was getting down with their cellies all the time anyways. But my neighbor was a homie from Sereno, and he had a cellie that was a white kid, skinny kid. And this kid used to run laps, never talk to nobody. Whenever we would get out to the yard, he would just run and run. So he was there about a week, maybe. I don't even know if it was that long. And next thing you know, they were doing count time, right? And we're kids, man. 13, 14, 15 years old. We're doing, the cops are doing count. Everybody's in the cells. And when they pass my cell and they get to my neighbor, they ask my neighbor, "Where's your cellie at?" He's like, "I don't know. He left. He went somewhere." He's like, "He went somewhere." Cop takes off. Later he comes back and he's like, "Hey man, where did your cellie go?" And he's like, "I don't know. Where the fuck he went?" The cop takes off. Comes back. He's looking around the cell. There's nothing there. He like glances under the bunk. Looking around the cell. He's like, "What the fuck?" So we're waiting for this count, man. Can't go nowhere until count clears, right? The cops come in again and they tell the homie from Sedum, "Hey, step out of the cell." He steps out of the cell. And the cop gets on the floor and looks under the bunk. And sure enough, the homie cellie was under the bunk. He had tied him. He had beat him and tied him up. But he did it in a way to where that dude was off the ground. So when the cops first just glanced, they couldn't see him. And he ate all the dude's stuff. He had a little bit of stuff. He ate all his stuff. I think he had got a package. He ate all his stuff. But what had happened was that little kid was busted for that type of crime. I don't remember ever seeing him again, because once he was outed, it was going to be all bad for him. So even as kids, as juveniles, those people were not accepted. And people, I've had people actually get in the comment section when I have discussed these type of people, and and they like try to stick up for them, right? To me, I have zero understanding of how anyone can stick up for people with those type of issues. If nothing else, they should be placed in mental institutions. I'm not saying that anybody should harm anybody, so I don't need anybody saying that I'm promoting violence. I don't do that. But I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. When it comes to this guy, he's the victim of that type of assault. And instead of continuing that cycle, he chose to avenge his inner child, I guess we could say. When he was young and helpless, couldn't defend himself, he was taken advantage of. And that does something to someone. A lot of people turn to criminality, to gang activity, to substance abuse, alcohol abuse, because of things that are done in their childhood. They create a whole different character in order to hide that their inner child and protect the inner child, and then they turn into monsters in some form or fashion, right? Before I go, I want to talk about another case real quick. It's a case that's been adjudicated. It happened in the LA County Jail. And there's a picture of it in that book, The Black Hand. I don't know why they put that picture in there. I guess just because of how brutal it was. I was in prison with these guys. I met 3 of them, and it was I believe it was in the gang module, and all I know is it was a cell with multiple people in the LA County Jail, and these are all white dudes, and one of the guys in that cell had one of those type of crimes. Another one of the guys in that cell was the product of sexual assault. His mother was victimized, was assaulted, and he was the product of it. He was born out of that. And this white dude, similar to Jason Vukovich. I had to make sure I read his damn name. Similar to him, this white dude in LA County Jail, he made it his thing where he would go after those type, right? The sex offenders. And when they found out that dude in their cell was busted for what happened to his mother, that guy's mother, what took place in that cell was probably one of the most brutal killings. The offender was obviously his life was taken. He was almost decapitated, and a broomstick was pushed through his body. And everyone in that cell, except for, of course, the one that was taken out. Everyone in that cell received a sentence of life without the possibility of parole. You know, there was somebody that left a comment in my comment section yesterday, and they were basically saying, there was two of them actually, they were, pumping each other up, and I get it to an extent. And they were talking about, why was I basically in yesterday's video, when I was saying how people, when they decided to let the legends out, and I was talking about how people weren't given due process, they had no fair hearing, they were slammed down for decades, and these guys were like, well, what about the victims? How come nobody ever talks about the victims? Victims' lives matter. Well, that guy in the county jail, he was a victim of some brutality. But what he did to women prior to his incarceration, you see where it's a very slippery slope. I had told these guys, and I actually responded in the comments, and I said, prison is full of people who have victims, but what is the definition of a victim? When you have people that are gangbanging, that go into rival neighborhoods and they get smoked in the process, that's not an innocent victim. It's a whole different thing when it's a civilian who isn't involved in criminal activities whatsoever, and they get took out. I don't think anybody ever gets any pride or feels good about that. If somebody commits that type of crime where an innocent person, a civilian, gets hit, I don't think anybody would ever brag about that. I know I'm just rambling at this point. I'm going to go ahead and bring this one to a close, but like I said, I just wanted to try to get a little discussion going, maybe in the comment section, about the Alaskan Avenger. Do you feel he was right? Do you feel he was wrong? Why do you think he was right? Why do you think he was wrong? The penalties and punishments for those type of crimes really don't fit the crime. They need to be a lot harsher, or a lot more harsh. I don't know which one's the proper grammar there, but it's a sickness. And it doesn't get cured by a 3-year prison term or whatever the fuck they get. So with that said, I hope everybody will have a great day. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out. Okay, it doesn't want to stop.